Hi, my name is Preyash, and for this IBM Bob challenge, this is my project which is called BobLens. BobLens is a NPM package which works along with IBM Bob, and it helps the developers visualize what all changes IBM Bob did. So the problem is that we have IDs which move pretty fast. We see that they perform what was expected, and we just approve it and move forward. But at later stages, it may be that there were some bugs which were not caught, or the developer itself doesn't understand its code because they were moving so fast with the changes done by IDEs that it is causing bugs at a later stage. So BobLens solves this. This is the missing layer that Bob or any other AI code editor writes the code, but there's no visibility of what actually happened. And there's a lot of diff, like you can see the git diffs to get an idea about it, but it is like a very manual process. And if you even go to see the summaries or the changes made by AI, that's also a lot of things to read upon, which people moving fast ignore. So Boblin sits between the IBM Bob IDE. It uses its MCP server, and what happens is whenever IBM Bob IDE does some code changes, it triggers the MCP server, uses one of its tools called Boblin's UI, and in the sandbox renderer, it shows what all changes were done. It is a side-by-side diff, and for UI changes or even for the backend changes, it shows the execution flow diagram where it shows how the variables change, and then there's a component preview which shows the comparison between the UI of the changes, and it is a native app, so it works with IBM Bob. There is no third-party LLM or API which is being called. So whenever Bob makes some changes, it triggers Bob Lens, and Bob Lens analyzes it using BobShell. So Bob knows about the code changes, and using BobShell, we get a proper audit of what all changes it has done, and we show it visually to the developer. And there are few tools, but they work either after post commit or they're working for PR reviews. But this is before pre-approval, so like you can edit it or approve it to be merged in the production, and it shows the visual differences of what all has happened, and it is native to BobShell, to IBM Bob. And this is the market opportunity, of course. People go on using tokens wildly when it comes to AI coding, and if they don't know the idea of what has happened in the code base, they'll continuously re-explain it to the AI to understand it themselves as well. So these visualizers help us understand, okay, what values are being passed between which nodes or like code blocks, and it would be easier for us, and we would be using less prompts to move forward. Yeah, so let's go ahead and see the demo of it. Okay, so this is the demonstration of BobLens, and this is the Bob IDE. Here I have a sample Node.js project. Here, what I will do is I will ask IBM Bob to make changes to it, and then we will use the BobLens package to visualize it. So currently we can see that there is no MCP server connected over here. So when we will initiate and install the Bob package, BobLens package, it will do that. So let's just see if the BobLens is installed. So here's a command to check that. And as you can see, this is not recognized, so it is not installed yet. So we'll just go ahead and go to my repository where the package is there, clone it, and install it. So the installation is done, and we'll just initiate it now. And as you can see, it has created few Bob files as well, which is related to that package, which some is for the MCP connection, and some is for the sessions, which would be discussed in a later part of the video. So now let's just go ahead and start this package. So it's Boblins start. And as you can see, there are MCP servers and WebSockets running on different ports. And this is the Boblins UI, which is running on the port 3333. And I'll just go ahead and check if the MCP is now created with by the package or not. So you can see the Boblins MCP is created. And we'll just check it again. And these are the MCP tools that are created. And now let's just see it's connected again, and we'll paste this prompt. This prompt will be used to create by IBM Bob to create the changes to that dummy project. And we'll just approve all these changes and save it. And you can see there's no UI difference yet. But since because it is still editing it and the tool is invoked when the changes are done, so it is, you can see it is notifying, and you can see the UI has changed now. It has the diff of what all has changed, and the task is completed. And you can see those load buttons. That is what the analysis is happening by the Bob shell. So Bob shell analyzes it from the previous state and the current state, and then compares them and explains what it actually did. So you can see the analysis is done. And these are just the key changes of the code before and after the diff. And we'll just go and click at the analysis. So you can see there are before and after nodes. In before node, in the after node, you can see what all changes it has done with the green nodes, and it also explains that with variables that what was the input, what it did, and what's the output. And just a simple way would be just use the same nodes and see the difference. So this is the same node in both the cases, the get products node. And you can see it has made some changes. The values of the price changed based on the tax rate, which was 8%. And then another important part of the Bob tool is the visualizer. So this is a front end difference. And if we click on the render using Puppeteer, which we show that what change has been done on the front end part. So that's how we can see. Also, a very important part from this tool is the export session as well. So what it does is if we go back in the Bob IDE, we will see that there's a Bob session folder, but it's empty for now. So what we can do is we can just export this session. So it saves a JSON file over there, which is the Bob session in the shell. So in the ID, we have the Bob sessions, but we don't have it for shell. So this stores like what happened, how it analyzed, what endpoints were targeted. So that's the Bob lens. Thank you.